Well, we got a new pope today. How about
new
that?
Pope, a new Pope, Pope Leo the 14th, and he happens to be from these United States. So he's the first U.S. born Pope ever,
Ever.
which is kind of a big deal. Maybe he'll supplant Christopher Columbus for Italian Americans, and we can stop celebrating that genocidal idiot. One can hope.
Anything can happen.
One can hope. There we go. So yeah, Pope Leo the 14th, and I did some digging today because I have some history of Christianity books on my shelf, and think that maybe one of the reasons that he chose Leo was because the first Pope Leo was considered Pope Leo the Great, according to historians, and he was one of the popes who helped to cement papal authority in Rome as the Bishop of Rome, as being the head of the church more broadly across the Mediterranean world and Europe. And then Pope Leo the 13th was a 19th century into the early 20th century pope, and he was known as a social reformer. And he was not a socialist, like some people would like to say, but he did address in a papal bull the inequality between labor and capital and the responsibilities of both labor and capital, and that the poor should be, therefore, the laws should be such that the rights of the poor are guaranteed. In particular, this refers to the right of every laborer to a salary sufficient to sustain him and his family without being forced to work beyond a fair limit. And of course, the gendered language is because it was the 19th century. But I don't think that's going to make him real popular with MAGA world.
MAGA is just about mad about this guy as they was about Obama. They don't like this guy.
Yeah. You start talking about social justice, people get real nervous, and calling you a Marxist and whatnot.
I was actually surprised. I was actually surprised, and maybe many people were. I don't know, but maybe I shouldn't have been. I don't follow these things as closely as probably a lot of folks. I'm not Catholic. I got a lot of Catholic friends, but I don't follow these things. A lot of people said that Pope Francis leaned in with this guy and kind of like gave him his vote before he passed, kind of thing. Is that what you saw too? But I was surprised that they chose an American under the circumstances. I'm surprised and not surprised at the same time. I'm surprised because of all the stuff that's going on with us as a country and who we got at the helm. But I'm also thinking maybe it was a message to America too, because this guy does not stand behind the shenanigans of the Trump administration, and he has been vocal and unapologetic about that. So maybe they chose him on purpose as a message to the United States. Who knows? But I was actually surprised. I thought they might try to overcorrect, not that they needed to correct anything with Pope Francis, but I thought that they might overcorrect and try to do something like get a minority that was extremely conservative. Like try to be cute with it.
Yeah.
I think that this guy will be a good pick. From what I gather, he's not as progressive as Pope Francis, but he is closer. He does walk closer to the steps of Pope Francis than other popes have or would.